a sort of painterly way too. We don't make each of these. We don't make each of these 8 separations before we start printing. We make our key line, and then we make our first screen. We cut the ruby lith based on the key line. We make a screen, and then we go.
Mm-hmm. So you don't really know what the end result is going to be until you have the end result.
No, it's an adventure.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but the great thing about working that way is that we have the opportunity to correct at every step. Okay. So if we make a mistake in a screen, it's not predetermined that the next screen is not going to cover that mistake. Okay. So you know, as a painter, you always have the opportunity to cover a mistake with your brush, right?
I do that a lot.
Yeah. So we basically just set ourselves up in a way so that every subsequent screen has the opportunity to correct the mistakes of the previous.
And it seems like it seems like not a difficult process, but it's sort of a long process. With technology and all, there must be an easier way. Like this is sort of old school, right? This is a sort of an old way of doing it. Is that right?
Yeah, this is probably one of the oldest ways to do it. You can do everything in the computer, and that is how we started out doing it, and we sort of worked backwards, learning how to do it the old school way.
Right. See, I love that. I love the fact that it's old school and that you're sort of going back, sort of throwback to the way they used to do things. Even though I suppose there's a much easier way. This is a true art form, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's a skill in and of itself to just be able to cut this film and not totally ruin it. Right. Being able to wield a X-Acto knife is a dangerous skill, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. Okay, hey, listen, we're going to go to break one more time, and when we come back, we're going to go through some specific posters that they made, and we'll look at some of the sketches and things like that. So we'll be right back with Artscape. Welcome back to Artscape. I'm your host, Bill Harris, and we're here with Jay Frank, owner of Itty Bitty Press, and we're going to talk about your posters, specifically how they're made. So let's talk about B-sides here right behind us. Now, how exactly does that work? Somebody comes to you and says, look, I got an idea.
Well, so yeah, this is for an event in Fredericksburg called Tell, and Mara, the organizer of Tell, just tells us the concepts for every month's event, and we sort of get let loose.
Okay. So let's hold. This I guess this looks like a preliminary sketch.
Yeah, this is a really preliminary sketch of what that ended up being. We just sort of did that while we were at another event.
Oh, really? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So you do some ideas here, and then you sort of pick out, glean what you like from it, what you don't like, and let's see this guy here.
Yeah, and this is what actually ended up going on the print.
Okay, so you went right from this to this.
Yep.
So who does the drawing? Is it you or Brianna, or is it a both?
Yeah, it's some of both of us.
So you give her all the hard stuff. When you need 100 names in water, she does that, and you do the beat.
Yeah, she's sort of the slave.
Right, okay. So that's great. So we go from this to this, and then we end up with the final result. So, all right, let's look at the next one here. We have the one right behind me, the dinosaur one. Here's a funny story about that.
Yeah, so we were at an event called Camp Barefoot, and it's a 3-day event in West Virginia, and there weren't a lot of non-vegetarian food options at this thing, and we're meat eaters, so we were sort of lamenting the lack of meat options, and so I sort of started doodling the original vegetarian, the brontosaurus.
Right. Eating a box of leaves.
Eating a box of leaves.
That's great.
And that sort of became the genesis of this poster.
Okay. And all right, where does this lead us?
So we thought maybe while he's munching, we give him a little television to watch. These guys ended up being part of the poster, and then we got this little pile of empty boxes of leaves.
That's great.
That ended up in the background here, and some text that we did that This actually didn't make it in the poster. But
Like Whatever's, that's the name of the band.
this is the band that this poster is for. Yeah.
So this is pretty typical right here. You have about 6 different sketches.
Yeah, this is fairly
Here's
typical.
that's the final one.
Not everything we draw makes it into a final poster.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaky.
Does it ever happen on one shot where you just sketch it out and boom, that's it?
Oh man, that is so rare.
Yeah, right. Right. Now, we have the one right behind us. Now, this is interesting to me. This doesn't have any words or anything like that. It's not it's not advertising anything.
So this came from this was actually a poster. It was a smaller poster that we did for a concert, and we decided that we liked the print a lot, and we decided to make a print that doesn't have.
So the original version of this had the band and the event and all that?
That's right, yeah.
Does the band care that you then later take the poster, or make no difference to them?
If we ever decide to do anything like that, we always run it by
Right.
the bands. We don't necessarily have to, but as a courtesy to them, we
I think what's interesting about it is it works as an image. It doesn't need words. It works totally as an image.
Yeah, it's something we strive for in everything we do. We want to make posters that don't have to be posters. It can just be an image in a gallery or what have you.
Right. Okay, and this here is the sketch for that. You did this, or Brianna did this?
I did this one.
All right. Because it was easy, nice and simple.
Yeah, nice and simple.
Right.
Anything that's simple shapes, that's for me.
Right.
Originally, this was going to be. We sort of had the idea here that we don't have a sketch of it, but we had the idea here that this flower was going to be an old school gramophone.
Oh, okay.
That's sort of where this started out, and we decided, the hummingbird is kind of strong enough on its own, and we liked it from there.
Now, this one I recognize as the one right behind me. I also have that hanging in my house, so I recognize this. What's interesting about this is it's reversed.
Yeah, this is sort of a middle state one for us. This is a transitional piece, I'd say, in the Itty Bitty Press lineage.
Yeah.
Like I said, we started doing everything on the computer, and then this is one of the first pieces where we drew things by hand, and then sort of started messing around with it in the computer after the fact. Mm-hmm. Recently we've been doing everything entirely by hand, no computers at all. But this is sort of a piece that led to that. So yeah, this sketch is just done on regular old type paper.
Yeah.
And scanned in and then layered in Photoshop or Illustrator.
And here is the words for that. Now, this poster behind us, the Independence one, was that done with the same process we had talked about last segment, where you have the different colors and?
Yeah. So
the process is exactly the same as the last one.
Not exactly.
Similar.
So you can, if you look really closely, you can see some dots in this one, and that's sort of it's a artifact of doing it in the computer, of scanning it and printing it out from the computer.
Gotcha. So of all this process, and what's your favorite part? What's the best part of this, of making these?
I think my favorite part is actually seeing it come to life in the printing process. I really enjoy, and we experiment with printing, in a bunch of different ways, doing transparent printing and blending colors. I really enjoy trying new things with a very old process.
I was going to say, it seems like you're progressing, like everything is changing.
Yeah, it's really important to us that a lot of these things we do out of the kindness of our hearts for local charities, right, and sort of art promoting organizations. So when we do something that we're not making a ton of money on, it's really important that we learn something from it. So that's where you see a lot of this sort of progress from.
Right. Hey, let me ask you something. So what's coming up this year? You got any shows coming up, or anywhere people can come see your art? Yeah,
so one we're really excited about is we're doing a show in September at Liberty Town.
Okay.
So we're working on some new stuff for
Excellent.
that. hopefully we'll unleash a bunch of stuff that nobody's ever seen before.
Well, I can't wait. I know I'll be there. Anyway, hey, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for joining us. Until next time, this is Artscape.